In October of 2019, two women in Cape Coral, Florida went missing within hours of each other. Their disappearances did not appear connected. They were. Before we begin tonight's case, we want to do something we do not always get the chance to do. We want to begin with the women at the center of it, not as victims, but as people. Kristine Melton was 35 years old. She lived in Cape Coral, Florida with a close friend and worked as a waitress in town. Those who knew her described her as kind, welcoming, the kind of person who made strangers feel at home. She loved cats. She loved her friends. And according to family members who spoke at sentencing, she was someone they believed was born to be a mother, a role she never got the chance to fill. Diane Ruiz was 43. She worked as a bartender at the Moose Lodge in Cape Coral, where co-workers said she had never missed a shift in 5 years. She was engaged to be married. She was also the mother of two sons, Brandon and Zane. At trial, her younger son Zane described losing his mother just days before his debut performance in his high school marching band, a performance she had been excited to attend. He told the court, "I never got to see her in the crowd. My mom will never get to see me get married." Friends who attended Diane's memorial described her as someone who felt like family almost immediately after meeting her. Two women, two full lives, two families permanently changed. We say their names at the beginning tonight, because by the end of this story, the attention will shift somewhere else. And we do not want their names lost in that. Kristine Melton, Diane Ruiz. By the time investigators understood what had happened, both women were dead. And the man responsible would eventually become the center of one of the most widely discussed criminal cases in recent Florida true crime. Not only because of the murders themselves, but because of everything that followed afterward. If you watched the Netflix series Worst Ex Ever, you may already know the outline of Wade Wilson's case. But tonight, we are looking beyond the initial headlines. The appeals, the legal controversy, and the disturbing online obsession that developed around the case after the trial. For those unfamiliar with the case, here is what investigators said happened. On October 7th, 2019, Wade Wilson, a 24-year-old man from Fort Myers, met 35-year-old Kristine Melton at a bar in Cape Coral. She brought him home. She did not survive the night. Hours later, prosecutors said Wilson abducted 43-year-old Diane Ruiz, a stranger walking near her neighborhood. Prosecutors argued that he later murdered her and ran her over with her own vehicle after realizing she was still alive. One of the most chilling details emerged almost immediately afterward. According to testimony presented at trial, Wilson confessed the killings to his father over the phone within hours. And it was his father, Stephen Testaseca, who contacted authorities. Later, according to testimony presented in court, Wilson reportedly gave no clear motive, stating, "I just wanted to do it." In June of 2024, a jury convicted Wilson on 2 counts of first-degree murder. 2 months later, Judge Nicholas Thompson sentenced him to death twice, describing the murders as heinous, atrocious, and cruel. But the case quickly became larger than a single trial. In 2023, Florida changed its death penalty law. Before that change, juries were required to unanimously recommend a death sentence. Under the revised law, only 8 out of 12 jurors are required. In Wilson's case, jurors voted 9-3 for one murder and 10-2 for the other. Under the previous law, neither vote would have qualified for the death penalty. Under the new law, both did. And the crimes themselves occurred years before the law changed. That became the center of the appeal. In May of 2025, Wilson's appellate attorneys argued before the Florida Supreme Court that applying a 2023 sentencing law to crimes committed in 2019 violated constitutional protections against ex post facto punishment. Then, on February 5th, 2026, attorney Michael Ufferman appeared before the Florida Supreme Court and delivered an unusually brief argument. Weeks earlier, The court had already upheld the same law in another case, creating binding precedent. According to courtroom reports, one justice even joked that proceedings usually do not go this smoothly. Wilson's legal team has since indicated they intend to bring the issue before the United States Supreme Court. If accepted, the case could affect every Florida death row inmate sentenced under the state's non-unanimous jury statute. Then came another layer of attention. In January of 2026, Paramount Plus released a documentary titled Handsome Devil, Charming Killer. Unlike earlier coverage, it focused heavily on the growing online fan culture surrounding Wilson. Some supporters online referred to themselves as Wade's wives. The documentary included prison phone calls between Wilson and women who had written to him, sent money, discussed relationships, and in some cases expressed romantic attraction toward a man convicted of murdering two strangers. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as Hybristophilia, attraction toward people who commit violent crimes. It is not new. Similar reactions surrounded figures like Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, and the Menendez brothers. What is new is the scale and speed created by social media. The case spread far beyond courtrooms and documentaries. TikTok edits, Instagram fan pages, book talk fan fiction. A murder case transformed into internet fandom. One Florida prosecutor interviewed in the documentary put it bluntly. In his view, some women saw Wilson as the ultimate bad boy. But in all of that attention, two names are often forgotten: Kristine Melton, Diane Ruiz. As of this recording, Wade Wilson remains on death row at Union Correctional Institution in Rayford, Florida. No execution date has been set.